and as you're driving, saying, hey, make it run better.
You could have a posse of waifus.
Starting off kind of strangely.
Slaying the land.
Welcome to the show.
This is insanity.
Taking a critical look at the gaming news of the week.
This info is pretty shocking.
Somebody's got to give an answer to this.
This is Augmented Reality.
You are watching my favorite channel.
I've not heard of them.
The Triple S League. Enjoy, guys.
Welcome to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games and the gaming industry, coming at you live on YouTube and Twitch and archived almost anywhere you can find podcasts. My name is Ash, and I'm here, as always, with Obsidian and Moontag. How are you two doing this fine Tuesday night?
Very good, very good. Building the goblin nest has been going well indeed.
The Goblin Nest down in, you've just archived off a corner of Cyb's house to make your own little goblin den. Is that how it's going?
Basically, yes. Slowly I will take over the rest. I mean, yes, the corner, the goblin nest. Yes.
And then Cyb will just be doing the golem thing in the corner.
My precious.
How you doing, Cyb? How's the face? How's the face numbness?
It's getting better, much better. I strapped some electrical diodes to my face and ran a current through it. And I'm not joking. I literally did that, and it's been marked improvement. I'm almost back to normal speaking capability. I still can't do a couple of basic things. So I still can't, form a seal on my mouth and use mouthwash. So that's still a non thingy. Still got some sleeping issues. Still have to keep a close eye on my eye so that I'm not causing any damage to it. But other than that, I think I may recover about 50% faster this time than I did last time from this, which is really great because I was really worried that this would be a 3-month ordeal, and looks like we're looking at about a month and a half. So that's great. Thanks for all the support. It's very helpful.
Absolutely. You can't use mouthwash. Well, no wonder Moontag is holing herself up in a corner of the house.
No, I can use mouthwash. I just have to manually seal my lips. It's kind of funny because, my neighbors are now seeing me. Sometimes I worry that my neighbors are going to see me, walking up to the kitchen window. I got a window at not at the kitchen. I got a window at my bathroom that's like head level. Right? For tall people, head level for tall people. And I just sometimes wonder, it's like, what is he doing? Why is he putting duct tape over his mouth every single morning and evening? Why is he doing that? Makes no sense whatsoever. Is he hostage? What is going on? So yeah, I'm sure
you're a hostage, and they let you take your duct tape off once a day to use the bathroom, and then you put it back on yourself. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I'm glad you're recovering fast, and I know Moon's been a big help to you there. If you're listening live, please do say hello in the live chat. This is a new time, new channel. What did they say on the old Batman show? Same bat time, same bat channel. Well, we're on the new time and the new channel here to try to help accommodate some of our viewers in the Far East, Oceanic region, Japan, Hong Kong. We do have quite a few followers from that area of the world. So this is the second. Yeah, absolutely. This is our second time at this time. Glad to see Robin's tuning in live, as well as Kisuke, some of the others. And if you're listening on Twitch, say hello there as well. And of course, slam that like button, subscribe, follow, do all of that good stuff to tell the algorithms that you like us, and makes it all very happy. So if you've been waiting for the part 3 of the Cyberpunk 2077 romance discussion with Time Being, Lady Reaver, and Moontag, and myself, I know, Cyberpunk 2077, old news, right? Well, part 3 of that discussion is coming out tomorrow, and there will be a part 4, so hopefully people are still interested in that. And yes, don't forget we have 2 channels now. This one, Triple S Podcasts, and the normal Triple S League channel where we put our edited content. Actually, we have more than that, but we'll update you on that in the near future. Okay, lots to talk about today. Moon, did you want to... I didn't let you do your spiel. Do you want to plug the Discord server?
Oh, Yeah, come join the Discord if you want to have fun and shenanigans with some really great people in our community. There's usually somebody online, either in the chat rooms or even streaming in the Discord. A lot of people have been playing Outriders and Valheim and just a whole bunch of fun games that they've been really gravitating towards a lot of like co-op games, and it's been super fun. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
join us.
Outriders demo has been pretty fun. Valheim I haven't tried yet, but it looks like fun. I just haven't had time to try it yet. I'm glad so many people are getting into it. So it's a place you can find some fun people to game with or just nerd out and talk about fun stuff. Lots to talk about in news today. I was kind of surprised because it's kind of been a slow week, but then found a whole bunch of stories today. So we're gonna start talking about the Elden Ring, of all things, the upcoming game from Bandai Namco and what's the name of the studio? From Software. Are they the ones making it?
I think so.
I believe it's from Software. I actually didn't check on that. But anyway, the article I have here is, as you can see on the top of the screen, leaked Elden Ring trailer, upscaled to HD by fans. So what happened is yesterday some footage leaked, and interestingly, it doesn't look like Bandai Namco is interested in copyright striking it. I don't know if they just haven't caught on yet, but somebody leaked some video footage that's several segments of videos that are all labeled like confidential, don't show this to anybody. And it looks like a trailer for the Elden Ring. Now, I'm not going to be putting that on the screen, but it's not hard to find online if you're interested in watching it for yourself. So
might be slightly illegal. Might get a takedown strike for
it's copyrighted.
Yeah.
But it's caused such a buzz. This is one of those situations where I wonder if this was one of those, oops, we accidentally leaked our trailer somehow by magical accident. Like part of me wonders if it was an intentional leak just to bring some attention to the game. We don't know that for sure, though. All I know is I haven't seen anybody talking about it being copyright struck yet. But anyway, some fans of the game, this all happened yesterday, and some fans who are looking forward to the game, they took all the footage and upscaled it to 720p. Because it was really bad. Like, it was recorded on a phone or something, and it was on a monitor some distance away from the phone. Like, the quality of it's really bad. But if you want to see a little bit of what we're expecting the Elden Ring to be about, it's something you can check out. And it is as we expected. It's a Souls-like. It is the trailer that we saw featured some, melee combat with oversized weapons, a very, Dark Souls-looking kind of a world and environment, but somewhat different. I actually got a massive Lord of the Rings vibe from it. There's a big dragon. We get a glimpse of horseback combat, as you can see here, a large open environment. So it's going to be a Souls-like. The world looks interesting. I mean, it might be a Dark Souls clone in a different world, is what it might be, or it might wind up being a lot more interesting than that. So anyway, if you are, of course, that's not a bad thing. You know what? I don't have a problem with games being somewhat formulaic if the formula is good. Like I said that about the Tomb Raider trilogy, the new Tomb Raider trilogy. All three games were very good. There wasn't a ton of innovation and change between, from game 1 to 2 to 3. There was more in the third game than in the first game. They did add and innovate, change some things a little bit. They added some gameplay mechanics, that kind of a thing. But really, it's the case of, if you like Tomb Raider, if you like that style of game, you will like all three of these games because they're relatively the same. Not necessarily in a bad way, you know what I mean? And so if you really like Dark Souls and this turns out to be a Souls-like clone, if they don't innovate on the formula too much, it could still be really good. But I have a feeling they're going to innovate a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think the idea that this is going to end up being fairly like a Souls game, just with a lot more options, I guess to say, as far as like character development goes. I suspect that that's really what we've been seeing with like the use of like body parts and using interchangeable limbs and or extra limbs, or like that one weird thing. The weirdest thing about it was like how like the one character's hand was inside another arm that was extended their hand. It's like stuff like that is really weird, right? But I suspect that that's that source of like taking from enemies or defeated enemies to empower yourself more, and that kind of stuff. Like it feels very that that system fits really really well with a type of like Dark Souls like um type game where you're climbing up the ladder, but you're in order to like power yourself up, you don't do grinding, you actually just have to like you have to kill the boss, right? And then going up from there and up from there and up from there and up from there. So that's kind of how I feel that the game is starting to portray itself and starting to come out. So yeah, that's what I'd kind of say for the most part, looking at it from this perspective. That's what I think the game is going to be. And I mean, really, that's not surprising. That's very much an in genre right now. The um the mechanics of it, the flow of it, it all works really really well to fulfill that itch that some people have. So I think that that's probably, yeah.
Did you have a chance to check out that footage, Moon?
She was doing a lot of moving today.
Yeah.
But
I was doing a lot of running around in the goblin nest.
Yeah, that's no worries. I'm not sure if Souls-like is your genre or not. I'm not even sure if it's my.
I do like the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like I'm taking a peek at the tweet right now, and like it does look interesting, but I don't know. I don't know. This is a wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's I don't know if I would call it. It's almost would you call it a subgenre? It's kind of niche, although it is fairly popular.
Dark fantasy feel. It's like
very much, yeah.
Like with the design of like the monsters and these characters that I can see in here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels very like dark fantasy, which kind of makes sense with like the people who are involved in making it. So
it's very much, yeah. It's very much that way. That's kind of the Souls-like style, or Soulsborne, as some people call them, incorporating Dark Souls and Bloodborne. The only one I've actually played of that genre is actually Sekiro, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. But yeah, you have to really enjoy that tough as nails boss battle challenge, and then if you lose, getting completely decimated and having to start a ways back. So it's not for everybody. But anyway, I'm definitely keeping my eye on this one. Have for quite a while. So
yes, very intrigued.
Keysuke says, I've played a decent amount of Souls games, but they aren't really my style. Yeah, it's not for everybody. XMEX says, wish FromSoft would create a new Armored Core. Yeah, I did confirm, by the way, whilst I was talking, that it is from Software, the makers of from the Dark Souls series.
Yeah. And like I said, like, why mess with it? Like, if you got a good thing, and if you're leaders in that genre, why roll the dice on something else when it's not like you're overloaded. Like, maybe they're introducing a couple new things, like a new mechanics, some more story content, more depth to the world as far as like interactability goes. Like, there could be, and again, that's just me speculating, but like you can literally they could literally have 100 different things that they're doing with the game. In-depth crafting system, which I feel that we're going to get on some level or another.
I love food systems; they're so great.
Yeah, perhaps a big like more player interactability, like maybe some raids, maybe again, speculation. Literally, they could do so much with this genre to really amp up the options and the availability to their players. Some people don't like the idea of raids, but that's just some people. Like, there's a lot of other people who would like that. There's some people who would love more of an in-depth role play, NPC interacting scenario. And so again, that's something that if they had time to add, and if they added it well, then I think it could do really, really well. So this is something that I feel is, they have the ability to keep growing this. They might as well, right? They might as well keep it coming, keep it building, keep it expanding, and then from there on, they can tweak things as they need to. So,
All right. GameSpeak reporter Jeff Grubbs said on Friday that he'd heard the title was being planned for unveil soon. It hasn't been officially unveiled yet. We know it's coming. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier also says there's strong evidence it's going to come soon, but people close to the project are saying it's probably not going to come this year. And
I really doubt we're going to see this year. I mean, 2021 is going to be 2020 was like the disappointment of like the last several years, probably maybe even of the last 2 decades. It was just a really, really disappointing year overall. And I think what we're going to see with 2021 is that the industry is still recovering from this. So instead of taking those chances, right, to get out and put something out and make it get big and get that interaction out, instead of that happening, I feel that we're going to see them pull back. And so this year, I expect this year with the year of wow, nothing. Like some news here and there, but wow, nothing.
You don't think there's going to be much?
Well, we've had already just disappointment upon disappointment upon disappointment. Like we've had several things come out and just crash and burn, and we've got more things rumored to be crashing and burning. I suspect strongly that this is going to be the overall arcing theme of the year. Whereas last year we had release disappointment, I think this year we're going to have just news disappointment. Oh, this studio's gone. That studio folded. This studio isn't going to be able to launch its game. That studio, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, on that note, I guess we might as well mention this. So Hardsuit Labs, we had reported to you on Saturday that, I believe it was Saturday, might have been Wednesday, they've been taken off of the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 project. This was the studio that was working on that game, which has been plagued by lots of development difficulties, and then key staff leaving, and then the publisher just took Hardsuit Labs right off the project. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of layoffs at Hardsuit Labs following this, probably as a direct result. So this reported by Nicole Stanford here on Twitter. According to her, apparently the entire narrative team was affected. In other words, they got canned. Like, if we de-sugar the language there, they all got fired, and she's looking for a job now. So yeah, that's unfortunate.
Which is not a good sign overall.
So that's unfortunate. And another, I promise not all of our news tonight is depressing, but apparently Dying Light 2 is not in a good place. According to a report from, this is the report that's being sourced by this other PC Gamer article, but from The Gamer, according to this report, the studio behind it, Techland, is just not in a good place. It's been described, the development is being described as being in total chaos. The CEO has an, quote, autocratic style that is actively slowing down development, and a variety of things like that. If you read through this report from The Gamer is very long. Like, there's no way we can go through it all. But I wanted to call out a specific passage here, because this report, it looks like it's trying to be balanced. It does have some quotes and responses from the CEO of Techland. But this writer also spoke to 10 current and former employees of Techland. And one of them called out the CEO, or not, Pisa. Is that the CEO? Hang on. Anyway, he's quoted as saying, Techland's philosophy about design through iteration that Pisa presented in the Polish article is BS. What's going on at Techland is just total chaos, not iteration. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of examples where there's someone responsible for a given feature, like a game director decides on something, but Pisa and Marchuka, I believe that's the CEO actually, Marchuka, they just overwrite this because of some BS reason, like they've seen something working differently in other games, so we can do it like that. Mm-hmm. That actually sounds scarily similar to another studio that we've talked about, the management issues.
This sounds a lot like the issues that CDPR has had in the past, and that they had, that plagued them horribly during CDPR now, and we now know that it kind of hit a fevered pitch there. Overall, I've got to say that I'm not surprised. This is a studio that is run by a small team of family members. And whenever you have that situation, you are going to encounter a lot of people who you're going to encounter a lot of situations in where these people tend to put their foot into something and say, look, no, I don't want you to do this. I want you to do that. And they have a vision. Now, this is great when you have a visionary leader who understands everything, but even visionary leaders who understand everything don't always get everything right. And even when they do get a majority of everything right, you still run into a lot of other problems. With only one major release under their belts to this point, I don't think they have this kind of power, and I am a little concerned about all of the family members who work for the studio and how like one of the head dudes, his wife is the HR manager. So imagine going to the wife of your boss to complain about your boss.
That could be a problem. Yeah, that could be problematic for sure.
And it's easy enough to work around that, to have somebody in that position, and then to create a system or a fallback system in which you're not necessarily able to like pinpoint exactly who it is, or there's stuff that you can do, but it doesn't appear as if any of this stuff is being implemented. And then just past that, dude has the same guy has a sister in another part of the company who's running a bunch of other stuff. So really it's a family operation, and as we know from Ubisoft, really big family operations tend to cause a lot of problems. Not just a small amount of problems, a lot of problems. So this is, again, just more concerning. And the fact that they've been in development hell, which they have been for a long time, really, really, really begs the question, what are they doing? Like, what do they think they're doing? And then what is their team actually being able to complete? Because this is getting ridiculous. And very, very, and again, I would say extremely worrisome.
I agree. Worrisome. This is a game I was looking forward to. What do you think? Is it, it was announced at E3 2018. Are we going to see this game? When are we going to see it? And do you think, how badly is the quality going to suffer because of stuff like this?
Right. Well, that's the thing.
It's hard to predict. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and now they're very much in the same boat that CDPR was. They put out their last game in 2015, and then they've been working on this for a very long time now, and again, they have a really good core concept with this, and they have really good ideas, and they have really cool stuff. But what we saw at 2018, I mean, I'd be willing to say that I'm worried that what we saw in 2018 was basically scripted, manufactured, created content that didn't actually have any real content in it.
Probably just like everything else at E3 2018. Anyway,
right. So there's a chance that what we saw and what is officially made is probably like in between, and they had this idea, and the idea has been changing or morphing based off of what people play. I and it's so difficult because I know as a creator, as a writer, like you're tempted to look at what other people are doing and to see if you can replicate that on some level, and that's cool, but it's very dangerous to do. And I have a rule that when I'm creating particular content, I don't go see any of that. I don't go see any content that's remotely similar to that. So if I'm writing a book, I just don't read fantasy. Like I'll read lots of fantasy when I'm like kind of think about an idea to get some good grasps of it, but I don't read while I'm in the process of writing. If I take a break and then I'll read some stuff, that's fine. But like I don't actively read and write because at the same time, because I don't want to copy other people's works over. And I feel that in game development, there's a lot of game developers who should be doing the same thing. They should come up with an idea that's original, or that's an original take on something that they're doing, something that they have within their grasp, and then they need to ignore what is going on around them as much as they can. And I know that's difficult because sometimes that means that you're going to create something that didn't go far enough or didn't do enough, and that you run that problem. But for some people, and you have to gauge whether that's the problem or whether the problem is that you're going to get too distracted with, ooh, shiny, like that one, was it Up? I think that one movie with the dog where he's just talking, and every 20 squirrel, and
Yeah.
he's just yeah, and you can't have a conversation with him because he's always distracted by the squirrel. And this is what a lot of game devs have this problem when it comes to making games. They enter into these processes that are 4 or 5 years long, and during that time, a lot happens in the gaming industry. And they constantly look out and go, "Oh, look, we need to do something like that, but not exactly like that, but really close to that, so that we can utilize this." And there's a couple of companies that excel on this. Blizzard is basically Blizzard doesn't have an original bone in their body. Excuse me. Blizzard doesn't have an original bone in their body. Oh dear, I said the quiet part loud.
You said it out loud.
And I think that most people would agree with that. They took the idea of of what Warcraft was. They took the idea from a lot of other places and they excelled on it. Diablo, same thing. Classes, a lot of mechanics, a lot of their lore, a lot of their stuff. In some ways, it is not original, but they do a darn good job in replicating it, right? A good example is like they had an achievement system that they didn't have until Warhammer, the MMO Warhammer, which failed miserably, thanks EA. Just absolutely dove into the ground hardcore. Lots of problems with that game. But they had this great system of this achievement system, and WoW took it and made it better, and it's really awesome. And I'm a recipient of a lot of cool perks from that system, even though I don't really give a darn about most achievements. I don't. I have like 3 achievements that I actually care about, and that's about it. Everything else is like whatever. But there's still some stuff that they do in some of their other products that have done well. But in all honesty, let's face it, it's been done before, right? And sometimes they just really don't have a lot of that originality. They haven't come up with an original class like at least other game things try to create cool concepts and stuff, but they don't really create anything. They create a basic thing, and then the community helps to push them into trying to push a certain type of niche, which ends up getting filled, and then it feels a little bit better. And so that stuff like that's cool and good. And again, I wouldn't say that that's a problem because again, there's lots of people who do that, right? There's McDonald's, and then there's and then there's the 5-star restaurants, and then there's the restaurants that you go to where you don't get the ability to order, right? The chef decides what you're eating that night, and you just let them know if you got any allergies.
I've never been to one of those.
I heard of those.
Anyway,
most people most people have been to them. It's called your mom's meal, but I mean, in most cases, that kind of like high society, like oh, you don't know what you're eating, and you show up and they're like, oh, you're actually tonight you're eating rat that has been there's this really hilarious scene from Future Man. No, this is a really awesome scene from Future Man where it's really gross, but it's that kind of concept of like you're eating fungus scraped off the back of an eel, baked over a top of a roasted rat, and it's like the best food that you've ever eaten, period. And stuff like that. So it's an inside joke for anybody who watches Future Man. But that's kind of like, those are the three different forms. You've got the McDonald's, which is just really good mass produced stuff. That is, it's
debatable on the really good part, but okay,
it's good. It's whatever. If you grow up on it, you grow up on it. Then there's the more like, refined stuff. And then, the games that are win game of the year, legitimately, and have like really amazing story and content and stuff that's very deserving of that title. And then you have the stuff that's really out there, the indie experiences where, you can't decide whether it's a masterpiece or if it's like just so niche that it's amazing, right? And that's where we get other cool stuff. And that was in the time, and this stuff changes all the time, right? Like one of the niches that was amazing back in the day, which was just such a niche thing, was this post futurism, post-apocalyptic universe that you had in Fallout. And when Fallout 1 came out, there was nothing else even close to that kind of like universe. Like there were other stuff in some light fiction writings here or there that was sort of close, but nobody took 1960s Americana, 1950 to 1960s Americana and put it as the baseline to create a future sci-fi apocalypse in. Like nobody really thought of that. And so stuff like that, it has its place, and then it becomes the mainstream, and then that mainstream becomes the norm, and then ultimately ends up falling out of favor, and then you start the whole process over again. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but it's difficult. I get it.
The problem it's a big problem though when you are years into development and then decide, oh, we're going to change direction. Cyberpunk had that issue, and
Bloodlines has that issue.
Yep, for sure.
Last week, and even more news is coming out about that now. Like this is really bad. Like this is really, really, really bad for a lot of people. But is it the right choice? I think, I've been looking at it recently, and I gotta say that I think Paradox is probably doing the right thing here. It sucks, but I think what we were about to get was just something that wasn't good.
You're back to talking about Vampire the Masquerade now. Okay.
Yeah. And just because these two things kind of tie in, right? So I think between those two things, between that and this, they might have that same issue here. They might have a game where they went too far with what they thought they could do, or maybe it's shifted, and maybe that's been the problem.
Well, sounding, who knows if it's shifted or not, but when it sounds like the management is just incredibly is described as autocratic, lots of micromanaging, feedback that sort of sums, like, you can basically sum it up as like, that's crap, make it better. And that's all the feedback you get. What are you supposed to do? And that is kind of across the board to all, or like one of the top guys thinks that it's is like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's good. Let's go with that. And the other guy's like, no, that's bad. It needs to be changed.
Yeah.
And then the first guy is like, yeah, he's right. It's bad. Let's
Oh,
change it. This is all stuff I'm reading from the report on Techland. Plus,
So when I was a kid, I have a perfect example of this. When I was not a kid, when I was young, I was working at a job that young people usually work at. It was summer camp kind of thing back when I was like 16, 17 or whatever. And I'm helping in the kitchen. And there's two chefs that work at the camp, right? There's one morning shift covers, breakfast and then lunch, getting lunch rolling. And then the other person covers like, afternoon snack, supper, and then evening stuff. And the person in the morning wanted sandwiches to be made for people, and they were quite insistent that the sandwiches had to have butter in them because that way it's sealed the sandwich. Your sandwich didn't fall apart as soon as you picked it up. And then the person in the evening didn't want there to be butter because that was something that some people were lactose intolerant, some people didn't like butter, some people wanted mayo. So they said no, none of that. And the two would apparently never communicated, but would come in each time their shift started and would get mad at whoever made the sandwiches, going, "What are you doing? Do you not know how to cook? You're a volunteer, but I don't care. You should know how to do this. It's basic science. You always put butter, or conversely, you never put butter in a sandwich." And it was being told the same thing by two people in leadership, and it drove people mental. And it drove me mental. And my fix for this was make the sandwiches in the morning with butter. And then as soon as the person left, I had like 20 minutes to throw out all the sandwiches, remake a bunch of sandwiches without butter in them. And then life was like somewhat, manageable for the next
talk
couple
about
of weeks.
thanks. Now I want a sandwich. But anyway, yeah, it's a disaster of management when stuff like that happens. Plus, I want to get off this Techland story pretty soon here.
Yeah.
But they're having another issue that is similar to something we've seen in EA. They are, the top guy, Mark Shuka, insists that they use their proprietary 3D engine, Chrome engine, and insists that, they use this, and apparently it's slowing things down, frustrating people.
Oh, no.
So that's an issue too. So lots of problems going on. It's unfortunate because I'm definitely looking forward to this game. I hope it still comes out and that it's good, and that what all of these people have been working on for years at this point is not a waste. All right. Speaking of squirrel moments and like a weird indie game, did y'all see this just a moment ago playing on this article? Return to Castle Monkey Ball.
Oh yeah, Castle Monkey Ball, yeah.
This is Monkey Ball in in the Wolfenstein castle, like good old Wolfenstein 3D graphics. My goodness, I seriously want to play this. It looks ridiculous, but I kind of want to play it now. Oh, speaking of bizarre ideas that might actually be really, really good, there's a Hot Wheels racing game coming, and Saib sent me this trailer earlier. Looks really cool. I'm just going to sort of skip through it. I don't want to play the whole thing just for copyright reasons, but Hot Wheels Unleashed announcement trailer is coming. It's a Hot Wheels racing game, as you can see. And you can see from this shot here, they're actual Hot Wheels style cars. It's like you're racing toy cars through a large environment. So it's kind of like a Lego movie or a Toy Story kind of a thing where you're racing toy cars basically, but
I want the purple one.
The mechanics of it actually look really good, and it kind of looks fun.
So I know that this is their trailer for it, right? And so we may not be getting anything that's actually like this, but I want to encourage this. This is forward thinking. This is good thinking. This is really good thinking. What you have here is exactly what I think Hot Wheels enthusiasts actually want. We don't want Need for Speed recreating Hot Wheels cars in ultra, 110,000 K, with like perfect, replications of real life cars imagined to be from the Hot Wheels line. No, what we want is existing Hot Wheels cars just put into a video game, slightly improved graphically and whatever, but still you look at it and you go, that's a Hot Wheels car. That is, I think, a brilliant idea. And if they can do that, if they can do this, if they can connect and build into this kind of concept, what they're showing with the trailer. One of the best part of this trailer is where a car goes on one of those like whip-de-woo things where it goes
yep.
a loop-de-loop and it goes upside down, but it doesn't hold on to the magnetic track right, and it falls to the ground, and it falls to the ground like it's an actual Hot Wheels car, like a little tiny Hot Wheels car that somebody dropped on the floor.
Like a ding,
it
ding,
looks,
ding. Yeah.
Just it goes from electricity and stuff, and then just like car, and that scene reminded me so much of the Lego Movie, where the thing falls onto the floor and then it's just suddenly it's a piece of Lego, like the imagination's all gone, it's just a piece of Lego on the floor, and that kind of a thing is hilarious to me, and I think it adds to that level of like awesomeness that you have.
Well, and how many of us wanted that as a kid? Like an awesome,
right?
We wanted to get into our Hot Wheels car and race around the house. Or, shrink down. I always wanted to shrink down to the size of a Lego person. And so that really appeals to those of us who had these toys. And
so I think this would make this world unique.
Robin's asking, will it have multiplayer? We don't have a ton of info on it, but I'm looking at the Steam page right now, and it does say split screen. So that would be even more brilliant. It should at least have a local multiplayer based just on that. If it doesn't have an online multiplayer, I'd be very surprised. Just considering at the look of it, like, I mean, here, a little more information here. Single player, online PvP, shared split screen PvP. So yes, it has all three of those. Full controller support. Steam Cloud, Steam Achievements. So that's all from the Steam page. So assuming that's accurate, then yes, it'll have multiplayer. That'd be fun. I would definitely get behind the wheel of a Hot Wheels car and race around with some of you from the Discord server. That'd be fun. Yeah. Time Bean will want the green car. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, she would, of course.
Okay.
But, yeah. No, I'm hoping we get what they showed, and that they keep with that idea. If they did, this would be one of the first racing games I've actually picked up in like 20 years.
Yeah, I know what I do enjoy a racing game every now and then. It's not my main genre, but it's the kind of thing. Well, it's like I love Mario Kart, right? It's fun with friends. Like you want to play it with friends. That's really what makes it fun for me. So that could be cool, yeah. All right, you are listening to the Augmented Reality Podcast, your source for news, leaks, and analysis of games in the gaming industry. This is the midweek edition of the show, live on Tuesday night in North America, and it's Wednesday if you're anywhere east of North America, so Europe and Australia, Asia. It's sort of east for all of... It's already Wednesday for a lot of you. You're in the future somehow. I don't know. Einstein figured it all out somehow. All that relativity stuff.
Tomorrowland is real.
Tomorrowland is real. All right. So, anyway, love to see you also active in the live chat, and I would welcome you to join our Discord community if you are so inclined. Want to find some cool people to talk with, game with, and just hang out with. There's funny memes in the memes room all the time. There's some cool stuff getting posted in the what do we call it? The creativity room. The
Creators Gallery.
The Creators Gallery, that's what it is.
Yes.
And you can self-promote in there. You have a YouTube channel or a Twitch channel or anything like that, or you make artwork, you can post it in that channel. We try to have something for everybody, except we keep, politics and controversial stuff only in the off-topic room, which is kind of, I think of it like a pressure valve for people who do want to, talk about that stuff with people from the community, but we allocate it to just one room on the server that's opt-in. So I'm finding it's really working well as a system. It keeps it nice and positive. So we really appreciate all of our community members there and all of our mods that keep it. And
I think it's good to point out that people can debate, and that debating is important because then you refine your idea. I've changed my mind on a lot of things.
Yeah.
I actually changed his mind on a lot of things via the course of debate and life's lessons. I in my early days of being a computer program, I wanted to create a program that would have deleted about 50% of the content off of the internet because I was a little crazy back then. But the getting to the point of like realizing that no, actually that's not actually helpful. All I would do is essentially make it more popular by making it more exclusive, essentially. And so stuff like that is like you don't decide on that stuff until you actually get a chance to get down on your get down and root around your idea, make it work, figure out where you stand on stuff, and it's a difficult process that requires time, and that's something that's nice to have. And I appreciate a community that is responsible that way. For the most part, we haven't had very many issues with that at all.
Very few uses of the ban hammer, but yeah, we do encourage debate, discussion, disagreements. We just ask you to keep it respectful, and for the most part, people do. So that's been fantastic. All right.
I'll give you guys a tip for debating. If you really want to be able to learn what the other person is saying, try to be able to get to the point where you can state their argument to them and have them say, yes, that's what I'm saying. If you can get them to understand that you understand their argument, then your experience with debating with them is going to help improve things overall. If you can't understand what they're arguing for, then there's a problem with that. So anyways, tip of the day.
Okay. Back to the news before we wrap up here. There's a few more things to talk about. So E3 2021 reportedly canceled.
Yep.
It's going to be an online
Shocker,
event.
didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, no. I was a little surprised that this was even news, but there's no way that they could at this point for them to put the investment in to plan the event when they're not sure if they'll be able to hold it or not, if there'll be lockdowns. It would be that would be a tremendous risk to take with a lot of time and resources of people. So this is not a surprise, really. But then again, I mean, E3 has been very disappointing over the past few years anyway. So
again, I believe that the best route through this would have been to create a full-on virtual augmented experience. I talked about this last time. I was like, what they need to do is they need to have it so that you have the presenters there, you have the booths, you have that stuff there, but then you have these people that are basically giving individual tours to content creators on Twitch or some other live streaming services, where they would just go around with a live stream camera and they would take questions from the audience and they would interact with the product. And that way you would get the creator input, and then you would also hear it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, as far as it came to these developers and creators. I still think that that's a good idea that could definitely be explored. Having the ability to showcase and to get live questions from the audience, it's great when you have that normally, but there's we've seen them do this here recently, and it's never as good. Where I think having somebody who's more professional, somebody who's more quicker on their feet, who can respond more, and then has the personality of the group that's following. If I'm watching
somebody who's a little more engaging, right?
Yeah, somebody who's a little bit more engaging, who can also react and push questions and comment on stuff that's different than you would get. To this perspective, if you get I'm trying to think of trying to think of like some good examples, but I know that I know that these two people are a little, controversial, whatever. But I would say that if you took like Pokimane and Asmongold and then Bellular and gave them a camera and gave them their audience and had their audience interacting with them, and then those people interacting with the people on site, I think you would get the formulation of those communities asking particular questions that the other communities wouldn't necessarily ask. And instead of having a big an hour presentation where a handful of people are desperately trying to get questions in, you have an all-day event like they normally do at E3, where they're talking to different groups of people for the entire day. And so that way, if you were really interested in one game and one game alone, you would hop from channel to channel to channel, watching that one game and those people interacting with it, answer all of the different questions from all the different people and groups, filtered through a person who has a very different personality and take on games than the previous person did. And I think that is, and then if you're not interested in that, you're just interested in everything, then you just follow around whoever your content creator is, who's then reporting on stuff live. And in some cases, some of this cool tech allows, people to be able to vote on, particular things and actually get a response. Like, we want you to go to, booth A2. Like, everybody's voting on what they want, and A2 is the most popular vote. So then they go to A2. And that kind of stuff is like how that could work. And this is a concept that I really think could work, but it requires like out of the box thinking. And I don't think the people running, we've said this before, E3 is run by people who don't think out of the box. They think about their next paycheck. And that's the way it's been for several years now. And it's pretty sad, honestly. The convention racket is very, very, very unique, and in some cases horrifying. Do you know a lot of the sets that get put up at conventions are just torn down and then just like thrown out? The worst case scenario that I saw with my own eyes, I've heard of worser cases, but the worst case scenario I have ever seen with my own eyes was a set that cost $2.5 million to build, was used on screen for a grand total of 15 minutes, and then was pulled out of the back of the building. People with chainsaws tore it up and put it in like 8 dumpsters. Wow. What a waste.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, things like that happen a lot in
You know what would have been more
and
entertaining and would have gotten more press is if like they pulled $2.5 million into that thing and said, here, we've got $2.5 million. We're gonna have a bunch of these people down here that are going to try and catch the money, but whatever money they can't catch is going to go into this thing that's just going to shred it and burn it. That would have been way more entertaining than the stupid 15 minutes of like, oh, I'm such a great person. Did you know how great of a person I am? Everybody clap for me. I am such a great person. That just
The sheer audacity.
Yeah.
It's sheer stupidity. So yeah, I'm not surprised that EA doesn't know how to evolve, or sorry, that E3, well, EA too. Actually, there's some interesting news on EA. But no, seriously, E3 doesn't know. They don't know how to evolve. They don't know how to survive this. They're just going to survive this like most companies are, by just getting rid of everybody who needs the job, and then sitting on whatever they can until whatever, and then getting hopefully some bailout or something, and then going back at it. It's like, just depressing. But anyway, sorry.
Anyway, we will find out in the near future about what E3 is actually going to look like. That's the statement from the ESA, and we will, of course, cover it here on the Triple S League, both on, we may live restream things, as we try to for most of the major events. That will all be here on this podcast's channel now, the live streaming, so definitely subscribe here to catch all of that, and subscribe to the main Triple S League channel for all of the edited content that we do. All right. Let's talk about, let's quickly talk about this joystick drift thing and the PlayStation controllers. This is a story that you sent me, so I've just well, I was out this evening, so I didn't have a chance to look at it a ton. But basically, this website, ifixit.com, did an investigation into PS5 Joystick Drift, and essentially, these things are not built to last a long time. Are we seeing planned obsolescence at work in our very expensive console hardware?
This is why I have routinely been saying that what we've been seeing from the consoles are not good. And some are worse than others, but it appears that the worst case scenario here is PS5, but apparently apparently not just PlayStation, both Microsoft and Nintendo all use the same manufacturer who uses a lot of the same parts, and the obsolescence of these new controllers is basically guaranteed within a year, give or take, depending on how much effort you put into it. That means that you're getting a new controller because these parts that they're using aren't worth it. And it's not that these parts are like, oh, well, getting a better part would double the cost. It's like a penny. It's like a few pennies more to get something that'll last for 5 years versus something that'll last for one. And so sure, you could say, well, they're making 10 million of them. Hello, or maybe probably actually, they're not making just 10 million. They'd be making like 180 million. That's a lot of pennies. Sure, that's a lot of pennies, but again, I think what we're seeing here is that they're making it so that you're buying like several of these controllers during the life of your console.
Yeah, it's like buying ink cartridges for your printer.
Exactly. So I feel that that's what we're starting to see here. And again, this is the anti-consumer stuff that these big corporations will pull the minute we let them pull this stuff. The minute that we don't, as a collective community, give them hell for doing this kinds of stuff. And again, I really like. I don't have anything against people who play consoles. I am pointing out the problem that consoles have, and that need to be remedied by a strong, communal voice saying this is a problem. You have to fix this, because this is a serious problem. The waste alone is disgusting. Seriously, the waste by itself is absolutely horrific. When you think about 120 million of these things getting thrown in the garbage every few years, or every year, or every 2 years, or like that's horrifying. And I don't so this is what this is. It's the problem that, and it's not just them, it's all of them. And this is not cool. And I mean, I've dealt with it with my own mouse. Like I went through $300 mice in 1 year, raised hell on Twitter to try and get a replacement. Still haven't gotten back to me. Absolutely not. Do not do not buy Naga mice. Trinity, do not buy Naga mice. They are garbage. They are garbage, and they will continue to be garbage forever. These things don't last more than 1 million clicks, even though, again, it's just a design fault that they don't. And it's shocking, horrifying.
Well, this is pretty shocking, I guess is a better word for it.
Mm-hmm.
On this report here, it says, the DualSense controllers, they look and feel like they were brought back from the near future, with their haptic feedback and all the fancy stuff they have built in. But deeper inside, however, are joystick modules that could have been held over from when Seinfeld was on the air. In some ways, they're actually less sophisticated than certain joystick technology available in the late 1990s.
Exactly. This is what I've been pointing out. And usually I mess up in wording it that way, but this is the problem that I'm talking about, is that they have the technology to make this stuff better, They choose not to because it's about the planned obsolescence and forcing you to go to the store and buy another round of controllers, which to them costs them $5 to produce, but you're paying 50, $60 for.
Indeed.
It's disgusting.
Outrageous.
And so they do a detailed breakdown of the problem here on ifixit.com. If you want to check this out in detail, of course, you can find the report on this website, but there is a class action lawsuit brewing about this. Will it go anywhere? So as you see this report here from IGN, the DualSense controller drift class action lawsuit filed against Sony updated, and we just got some kind of a candy bar in the face from this ad. But anyway, let's see here. Update March 1st. The firm behind the recent PS5 DualSense drift lawsuit is encouraging possible members of the class action to opt out of Sony's forced arbitration clause, potentially allowing the case to more easily reach a courtroom. I wonder how they do that. How do you opt out of that? Sony offers a manual opt-out of the clause as long as the letter is written to the company within 30 days of booting the system. Well, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people.
You're not going to know that. Like, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have the sense to, like, write them, send them a letter, post, date it, and then get, send them a request to get back and confirm. It's like, oh man, and
bureaucratic garbage.
This is the problem with these companies that I've been talking about for a long time. It's like their level of wanting to provide the best possible product is not there anymore.
Nope.
It's all about playing the numbers and making money, and then sticking it to you, the consumer, because who else are you gonna go to? You're gonna buy a console from what's that one guy who's making his like fourth console now? Because every time he makes one, he ends up like getting lawsuits and.
I don't know. I only know about it from memes.
Yeah,
I don't remember the details.
That kind of stuff. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Yes, Robin. It is dual shocking.
Good one.
That's a funny one. That's very good. How?
All right. On to more positive stuff. So we talked a lot about games that are being delayed. I don't think he was referring to the KFC one. There's some musician or somebody who keeps trying to put out a console or anyway. So we've talked a lot today about games that are being delayed and might not be coming out in 2021, but a game that does seem to be on track is Deathloop, and it's the latest upcoming game from Arcane, the creators of Dishonored, Prey, and all of the Dishonored games. So games that I truly love. And is it Soulja Boy? Maybe.
Yeah, Soulja Boy. Yeah.
So Deathloop is their latest title, and it looks like a high-tech Dishonored with a huge twist. It looks like if you mash together Dishonored and Groundhog Day and Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, mix them up in a blender, you kind of get Deathloop. It's an interesting game so it's a first-person action game like most Arcane games, with supernatural powers that you can collect and weapons and things like that. So some cool stuff, but it's got this time loop mechanic, and it's been very puzzling as to what this game is actually about. But they put out a new trailer for it. Arcane and Bethesda, and they kind of gave some more information about what the game's all about. And I was excited for it before, but now it sounds even better now. So basically, the objective of this game is you wake up on this island and you live. There's a time loop happening so that the residents of the island are living the same day over and over again. And the people at the top, there's like 8 people that they call what do they call them? Visionaries. So the visionaries, I guess, kind of keep this going, and they do it so they can stay immortal, that kind of thing. And so the objective of the game is you have to find a way to eliminate all 8 of the visionaries within the span of one day before you hit the end of the day and loop back to the beginning when they're all alive again. But they have all the island's inhabitants try to kill you and all of this. So it's an interesting concept, and it looks like it's going to be a very, like, you're going to have to do some scouting, do some investigating, like there's a mystery to solve, probably several, and you're going to have to figure out who is where when, and figure out how to take them all out within the span of a day. I mean, this sounds fascinating, and
sounds super fun.
If this was third person, I'd be right. Like not because I know some people hate third person. If this had an optional third person for both, first person and third person, because I still believe that that's a thing that most games should offer. I think it should be a choice, and I think that, I mean, you could lock out certain competitive modes. Sure, why not? Or put certain competitive modes, strictly on one thing, and then see what the community does with it. But at any rate, I'm probably not going to be able to play this because it looks very vomit-inducing for me personally. Again, it's a personal thing. It is not I'm not condemning it because it's first person. But to me, this is very cool because this basically takes Groundhog Day and the most dangerous game, and then combines it with essentially, like, I don't know, any episode of Archer, and that's the game. And I'm like, this sounds brilliant. I really like the concept of this. It's a great idea. The Most Dangerous Game is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite stories, I guess you could say. If anybody's wondering, The Most Dangerous Game was originally done in 1924, and that it has been adapted dozens of times, I think. Like, in film, there is two things in 2020, one in 2017, 2014, 2004, 1997, 1994, 93, 87, another one in 87, 72, another one in 72. I don't know why there's
I don't think we need the entire filmography, but we get the point.
That's just film. That's just film, and there's another half dozen more. Then there's a whole bunch that has been done on radio, and then in games and television, there is probably about 100 different types of entries on this. So this is one of my most favorite things. Is like, you're on an island, and it's you or the other person, and that's the story thing. Usually it's like you have a nice dinner together with somebody, and then he's like, "Oh yes, and I also forgot to tell you, James, tomorrow I'll be hunting you."
Yes.
And no, I'm not kidding. And you'll have to run for your life.
That's a pretty apt comparison, because it does have a very James Bond aesthetic to it. In fact,
yes, because you not only have to assassinate these targets, but you have an assassin gunning for you the whole time that you're gunning for all of these other people.
Yes. And that actually brings in an interesting multiplayer component, because you can this optionally have another human player control the assassin that is chasing you down.
Brilliant. It's like I said, I now that I kind of figured that this is what they were going for when we originally saw it. I wasn't sure. I kind of was like, I think this is what they're going for. But I gotta say, this potentially has great options in it for, like, something that's going to be great. I was thinking originally that it was going to be something else. A little bit. I couldn't really make up my mind, but now that I see what they're doing, I'm like, okay, I get it, and it's cool. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they do it just a smash up job with this, and really showcase what Bethesda Studios is hopefully getting back to being, and that is focusing on making good games that are making things different.
Yes.
Adding in a level of difference than what you normally used to in this stuff, and then really expanding on that. And I hope this is, I have more and more hope for Bethesda every day. And I'm really glad to say that, because I don't want to lose Fallout. I don't want to lose Elder Scrolls. I really don't want to lose these things. I think Evil Within, I think Wolfenstein. I think they all have, an important place in gaming history, and I would hate to see them go down the toilet. I know some people think that they've gone down the toilet, and I'd say I think they hit a major speed bump. Had maybe had a tire come off, and they needed to get out and fix it. And I hope this is the beginning of I hope this is the beginning of showing us that they have potential at getting back to making the best games in the industry. So fingers crossed.
Now that said, Bethesda's the publisher, the developer is Arcane, and I've been very happy with their games recently. I'm with the exception of Wolfenstein Youngblood, I think that they've really they've hit most of their games out of the park. Of course, they developed the Dishonored series, and those are excellent. They're excellent. Prey was really good. Dishonored: Death of the Outsider was really good. And then going all the way back to Arx Fatalis, which was 2002, that was quite a good game too. I haven't played it. Some of their other ones.
So I need to correct you really quickly there. So again, this is under the wing of the Arcane is under the wing of Bethesda now. They're not under the wing of ZeniMax anymore. They are they are for the next few months until the merger is complete with them and Microsoft. But even being under Microsoft, they still report first and foremost. They will be reporting to Bethesda.
Oh, sure. Well, they're owned by Bethesda / ZeniMax. That is very true. But what I have found with Bethesda over the past few years is that even though Bethesda while they were screwing up with Fallout 76 and some of their other missteps, their sort of satellite studios, Machine Games and id and Arcane, were all putting out really good stuff that Bethesda was publishing. Bethesda the publisher.
Yeah, because there's Bethesda the publishers, there's Bethesda the game studio, and then there's ZeniMax, who was over top of all of that stuff. And ZeniMax was really messing with some of the game companies and some of the studios, and then they were ignoring other studios completely. So it's very confusing. Not to mention that these guys are in France, so maybe that's something that I imagine that ZeniMax would call up Arcane and be like, "Hey, we want you to put microtransactions, just thousands of microtransactions into the thing." And they go, "Monsieur, I no speak English.
They do not understand."
One moment, and they start speaking French, and the guy's like, forget this. I'm going to go scream at Todd Howard some more.
Indeed.
It's like that's what I picture was going on here. So maybe they managed to avoid that being over there in Lyon, France.
Well, I mean, that said, like most of the Wolfenstein games from Machine Games have been really good. Now, Youngblood was
terrible.
Youngblood did not do so well, and it does seem like they had some of that corporate, messing with it going on. But then both Doom games that have come out recently have been very good. So their satellite studios are definitely capable of putting out some good stuff. So I have high hopes for Deathloop. I have high hopes for it. And yes,
I've got to give my seal of approval on Deathloop here. They have good hair, which is amazing, because Bethesda Studios, Bethesda sister studios, have never been able to make good hair, like ever, like never ever have they actually managed to make good hair.
Maybe that's why all their games are first person. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
great hair in these games. Great hair in this game here. So.
Yes. Now, yes. There is some in-game pre-order bonuses you can get with Deathloop. I did notice that, and I was kind of like, why do you got to do that, man? Why do you got to do that? But anyway, the game does look like it's going to be pretty good. All right. I think, do we really want to talk about the Twitch thing? Or should we just skip that?
So Twitch accidentally became extremely bigoted over the last 2 days. Just goes to show that yeah, big mega corporations don't actually care. They just want to,
They
say how wonderful they are and how much better and smarter they are than you, the
yeah.
average person. So yeah, that happened. It was really funny. I had some choice words for them, but no, we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to go into detail. All we have to say is that lo and behold, a corporation was more interested in pandering than actually thinking about the people that they were trying to quote unquote help.
It was one of the
And
dumbest
big
things I have
shocker,
ever heard of.
big shocker that they had
They
absolutely no inclination on how to do that properly.
they were like, I just gotta say this part because it's so dumb. They were like, we were trying to use a more gender inclusive word for woman. That sentence makes no sense. And anyway, they wound up pissing everybody off. Everybody from every side of the spectrum you can imagine. They pissed off everybody. So, yeah, they quickly backpedaled on that. But, man, like, why you got to do that? Why can't you just be a streaming company?
It just goes to show that they don't understand, nor do they respect your views. If you think they do because they like certain Twitter threads or they sent out a particular thing on some special day, they don't care about that. If they realized that they could make $100 million off of throwing you under the bus, they would do that. And some companies literally do that. Not literally throw you under a bus, but some companies, they look at their profile, they look at the product, they go, hey, so this thing is going to kill like a bunch of people. Like how many? Well, I suspect because of these brake pads that we're using, they're not really great, and the way that we've structured the braking system, that they're probably going to have like 20 people die every year from using this product. Well, okay. Well, how much is it going to be to pay them all off, do you think? Well, probably like, I don't know, like maybe 60 million a year. And then how much would it cost us to recall all of that stuff and then fix the problem? That'd be about 160 million. All right, well, don't fix the problem and just get some checks ready for the first people that die. Like that's what these corporations do, and that's why Twitch doesn't care about what you think. If they had a guarantee, could guarantee boosting their end profits of the year by doing the exact 100-degree opposite of what you think is just and special and fair and actually inclusive, you bet they do that in a heartbeat. They do it all the time.
They do that in other countries. They absolutely do. They pontificate about how woke they are in Europe and in North America, but then they go do a gaming event over in some country where certain things are not tolerated, and they just bend over backwards and are like, okay, yes, we follow your rules because we don't actually have any principles. We're just trying to they're just trying to make money off of what you care about. It's awful. It's terrible.
It's hypocritical BS, and I wish people could learn to smell it. I really wish people could learn to that's one thing that I don't understand how you don't teach that to your children. I know some people try, but there's a lot of people who fail, and it's
Well,
like
I mean,
really,
yeah. You try your best, and I teach my kids. You don't just believe something that somebody says. Even your teachers, if it sounds weird, think critically about it. That kind of a thing. And anyway, we'll move on from that. Let's wrap up talking about the Cyberpunk 2077 patch 1.2 update, which it has been delayed, but it should be coming sometime in March. It got delayed apparently because of the cyber attack that they suffered from, where their systems got hacked, and then a bunch of their systems got encrypted, and the source code for some of their games was supposedly sold online. Anyway, they've come with this update on their patch. They wanted to get it out in February, but now it's been pushed off to March. And this is supposed to have numerous overall quality improvements and fixes. It's supposed to have, it's their biggest update to date. And after this is if I'm not mistaken, Cyber, remembering back to their roadmap, this is the big one that they're going to put out before they start getting on to the upcoming DLC and things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so this is supposed to be their quote unquote fix patch. This is going to fix all the stuff, all the problems, and make the game run. Do we think, or do we know if this is going to change some systems, if they're going to introduce some better stuff? I don't know if that's going to be in here, but
I highly doubt
promising. Yeah, but they are promising to get everybody, get as many people as they can fixed on the existing problems. So, yeah, let's hope that they manage to fix it. Let's hope that they manage to, fix the problems for the consoles, and I really, really, really hope that they are going to add some gameplay things in here. But the big question is are they going to change the problems that they've been talking about and having, or are we going to see just a round of DLC that's kind of light, that doesn't actually fix the problems that people have been complaining about, as far as like the gameplay, not the bugs, the actual, like, the fact that this is not nearly as much of an RPG as the community wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. Where are we going to see them go with that? We don't know yet. We'll wait and see. The patch has been delayed for obvious reasons due to all the problems that they got going on with everything. So yeah,
for sure. As you can see, I put on the thumbnail today. Is this going to improve anything, or is it just going to fix things? I feel like this is going to bring the game up to where it should have been at release, technically. Hopefully. I mean, if the patch does what it's seemingly supposed to do, then it'll make the game playable for everybody, which it should have been at launch. Absolutely. But yes, will it improve the game at all? They talk about quality improvements here, but what does that mean exactly? I don't think it means they're going to improve the RPG systems at all. So I don't think we're going to expect that from this patch. But as far as what's coming down the road for DLC, like Saib said, are we expecting any kinds of improvements to game systems, or is it just going to be, more like an additional story or something like that? Which, I mean, I'll probably play if it comes out. But it would be good to see some of what was anticipated from this game being put back in. And I think they'd be foolish not to consider that, considering they've really kind of taken it on the nose with this release.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate,
and it sucks because it's really hurt. It's hurt a lot of people because of it. So that kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. So that's about all. That's about all we have for today. That's all we have for the news stories for today. I don't know if so earlier, did I say a more inclusive word for women? Actually, what they wrote was a more gender neutral word.
What?
For woman, which just makes zero sense.
They're just smushing words together at this point.
Yeah,
I mean it's
like the Latinx word too.
Oh God,
I don't
that
know.
was ridiculous.
I have talked to a lot of Hispanics and Latinos and people from from the Dominican, from and I say, do you like that term? Do you like that word? And it's, no, it doesn't even make sense in Spanish. It's disgusting, and it's like who makes this stuff up? Because the people making this stuff up apparently don't actually care. So
yeah. When you hit the point where the language you're using doesn't even make logical sense, like he's saying here a gender neutral word to refer to a gender, that is, I mean, come on,
right?
How have our school systems failed so badly that people can't even logic that out?
Right?
Right.
It's unbelievable. But anyway. Yeah, that's we'll leave that one in the dust though. Yeah, so lots of
English.
a lot of negative stories today, but hopefully some positive stuff too. I mean, there are still going to be some games coming out in 2021 that we're able to enjoy. We may yes.
I have something positive to share.
Yeah.
I have discovered this beautiful, beautiful game, and I saw it in Kisuke's wish list as well. It is called League of Maidens.
League of
and
Maidens.
It is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, it is
I think
beautiful.
we've talked about this game before. It's one of those games that is we have to make sure certain filters are on in order for us to be able to stream it. But yeah,
Right.
it's a hilarious game. Love it.
The character creation. Oh my gosh, there's so many options. So yeah, if you want to chat some more about it, like just chatting, of course, come to the Discord.
I think I'm gonna go check out some Return to Castle Monkey Ball. I mean, this looks like Game of the Year 2021. I'm telling you, this is gonna be epic. Gonna make a room for it.
Isn't it funny that you say that because of yeah.
Indeed, yeah. So anyway, I mean, even if we have to look more to the indie community for indie developers for some good games this year, there's still going to be some good games this year. I mean, we've seen Valheim. I think we talked about these at the beginning. So Valheim and then Outriders, like there's still good stuff coming out this year. Maybe some of the games that are more highly anticipated will be pushed to the future, and that's unfortunate. But there's still a lot for us to enjoy, a lot for us to talk about. So ever since it rolled over to 2021, I felt like this is going to be a good year. Not perfect. I mean, there's bad stuff happens, but one of the reasons we built the community on the Discord server was so that we can just kind of gather around some hobbies and things that we enjoy, and also build a community that just supports each other and helps each other stay positive. I mean, we didn't really see that. It's not like we had that as a written up plan when we were like, hey, let's start a Discord server. But as it's grown, we've seen that happen. It's kind of a natural consequence of everybody gathering together to talk about things they love, and gathering around this hobby of gaming and also these other things we love, whether it's movies and TV, even cooking. There's an animals room there now. I guess it's blowing my mind. Some of the most active rooms on our Discord server have nothing to do with video games or the content we make.
There's also a food channel. I will never say no to talking about food.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's a great place. I encourage you to join if you are new to our content, or even if you're not. Maybe if you've just been lurking. We welcome you there. And by the way, with the start of this new channel, it's getting into a new schedule and starting things on a new channel, and it's always slow going. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this content around, we'd really appreciate that. Of course, slam that like button, subscribe, do all of the things, whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube. And if you're listening after the fact on one of the audio-only platforms that we put it up to, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, all of those places, we welcome you to come check out the YouTube channel and find our podcast live and interact with the audience and interact with us, like you've heard several people doing today. So, yeah, this podcast goes out live twice a week on the Triple S Podcasts channel, and then we have our main channel, the Triple S League, where you can find all kinds of other content. And we're growing and developing in other ways too. We've got some other channels that we're developing with different kinds of content as we attempt to navigate these murky waters that are known as the YouTube algorithm, trying to figure out what they want from us, because it's a little confusing. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you for joining us in the live chat or listening after the fact. If you are listening after the fact, drop some comments down below. Let us know what you thought. And that's about it. That's it for us for tonight. So On behalf of Cyb and Moontag, thank you all so much for listening. My name is Ash for the Triple S League. We will talk to you again very soon.